be announced live, and we're here with you. A lot of nervousness in that courtroom. You can tell. Obviously, the cameras have been on Kyle Rittenhouse, and he should be, scared to death right about now because he doesn't know whether he's going home or whether he's possibly going to prison for the rest of his life. And I can tell you as a defense attorney, this is a scary time.
Portion, no, it doesn't need to be. There can't be any reaction at all, no matter how strongly you may feel. And it's understood that many people do have strong feelings. But we can't permit any kind of a reaction to the verdict. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of law enforcement here, and you will be whisked out of here if there is any. So just be aware.
The court just admonished everyone in the courtroom. Oh, and here comes the jury because the parties are standing up. But the court did admonish everyone in the gallery there that they cannot react to the verdict. Otherwise, you'll be whisked away, which is pretty standard. There shouldn't be a reaction to the verdict one way or the other. But obviously, Kyle Rittenhouse looks nervous. The defense attorney looks nervous. You never know. I can always kind of tell when the jury comes back in. Do they look at you? Do they look at the prosecution? Are they smiling? It's a tough decision. They've been deliberating now for 3.5 days for a case that took about 2 weeks to try. And nobody knows what their verdict is going to be other than the jurors. And then the court will look at the jury verdict to make sure that everything is signed in the right place. But obviously, the longer the case goes, I think both sides have to think that there must be some sort of compromise verdict. So we'll just have to wait and see, and we'll all find out together. Like I said, this is, when the case goes to the jury, everybody kind of relaxes, but you get nervous. But when the counsel and the defendant are notified that they have a verdict, I'm telling you, I think every prosecutor and defense attorney's, stomach just sinks a little bit because you just, this is the moment. And particularly when it's a case where somebody's looking at, a lengthy prison sentence, you just, the feeling in your stomach is, I don't know, it's undescribable. I'm actually feeling a little bit of it right now just because of the...
all right, members of the jury, have you
let's see what
elected a foreperson? Would you give your juror number, please?
54.
54. And has the jury reached a verdict as to each count of the information?
Yes, we have, Your Honor.
One verdict and one verdict only?
Yes.
Would you hand all of the paperwork to the bailiff, please?
This is the ones that you didn't know. Okay.
Everything.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, it looks like juror 54 is the foreperson. She indicated that they've reached a verdict. The judge was looking at it, and you can see the defense attorneys are literally dying 1,000 deaths over there, not knowing what it is. Been there, done that feeling. Let's see what the judge, how he's going to announce it. I'm not sure if he'll have Rittenhouse and his counsel stand up or if he'll just read them with everybody sitting down. It varies from judge to judge, courtroom to courtroom. But of course, the judge going through it.
The defendant will rise, face the jury, and hearken to its verdicts.
I'm surprised counsel didn't rise with him.
Versus Kyle Rittenhouse. As to the first count of the information, Joseph Rosenbaum. We, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the second count of the information, Richard McGinnis, we, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the third count of the information, unknown male, we, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the fourth count of the information, Anthony Huber, we, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the fifth count of the information, Gage Grosskreutz, we, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty.
Members of the jury, are these your unanimous verdicts?
Okay.
Is there anyone who does not agree with the verdicts as read?
The judge has
wish the jury pulled?
Obviously, Kyle Rittenhouse, very emotional.
Okay, folks, your job is done, and we started just about 3 weeks ago.
Pretty normal. The judge is going to give his
I told you it
final
could last
reaction here.
2 weeks and 2 days. This is 2 weeks. This is 3 weeks.
Courts oftentimes will ask
you were a
whether
wonderful jury to work with. You were punctual.
either side wants the jury pulled. Not necessarily really in this particular case.
Had a very
But the big news is Kyle
difficult
Rittenhouse
job
found
of,
not guilty of all
keeping
counts.
from discussing the case during the time that they were sequestered as well.
He's a free
All
man.
of you just
Let's
I couldn't
listen to
have
the
asked
judge's
for a better
final
jury to
admonition
work
here.
with. And it has truly been my pleasure. I think, without commenting on your the verdicts themselves, just in terms of your the attentiveness and the cooperation that you gave to us, justifies the confidence that the founders of our country placed in you. So, I dismiss you at this time. You're never under any obligation to discuss any aspect of this case with anyone. You're welcome to do so as little or as much as you want. The media have requested, a number of media sources have requested the ability to talk to you, and they have been allowed to present presentations to you that you'll get in writing, and it's entirely up to you whether you want to contact them. They are not to contact you. If anyone does contact you, and just tell them you're not interested in discussing it, if that's the case. And if anyone persists in doing so, report that to us and it will be addressed, I assure you. At the beginning of the trial, there was some concern about information and your safety, and I assure you that we will take every measure to ensure that that is your concerns are addressed and respected. I'm going to talk to you for just a minute, not about anything to do with the case, but just about that sole issue. And you, as I say, you're welcome to discuss the case as little or as much as you want. Any questions, anybody? Thank you so much. And you're after 4 years, you're eligible for service again. It would be my pleasure to work with you. Thank you. Yeah, please. Or in the they can sit in the library. It's not going to be more than a minute, or maybe it will be.
All right, so
Yeah, take them upstairs.
quick
That's
recap. The judge was giving his final admonition to the jury, thanking them for their service, and letting them know that there's been some concern about safety, but they will do everything they can to make sure every juror is safe. Kyle Rittenhouse found not guilty of all charges. Count 1 relating to Mr. Rosenbaum, not guilty. Count 2 relating to Mr. McGinnis, not guilty. Count 3, the unknown male, not guilty. Huber, not guilty. Grosskreutz, not guilty. And of course, the firearm charges were dismissed prior to the case going to the jury because the prosecution had to admit that the firearm was over 16 inches and therefore not illegal in any way. The defense looked a little nervous, obviously, which they should. You just never know. You always wonder if you've done enough, how's it going to turn out, etc. But they were pretty quiet, pretty humble.
All right, the motion of the defendant is granted. The charges against the defendant on all counts are dismissed with prejudice, and he is released from the obligation of his bond. Anything else? No. Thank you. Good day.
That's routine. The bond is released, discharged. So there you have it. We brought it to you live, just like we hoped we were going to be able to do that for you today. Clearly, that's the big news of the day. Not guilty. All 5 counts that went back to the jury, and not guilty. And the jury had to consider lesser included offenses that the prosecution had requested, and the jury or the judge allowed the jury to consider. So They had a lot of work to do. I mean, they were out a long time. Obviously, everybody likes a quick verdict when it comes to a case like this. But you have to remember, this jury understood the responsibility they have. They had to look at the law, the facts, the trial that went, 2 weeks of presenting evidence. And it was a lot of stuff to consider. And basically, if you have no legal background and what have you, to go through it and make sure everybody understands it, the 3.5 days seemed pretty appropriate. But obviously, the longer it goes, you think, oh my gosh, maybe they're going to compromise. Maybe they're going to find guilty of a lesser included offense. And the reality of it is, it just proves then you can never guess what a jury is going to do. But in this particular case, the jury came back, and like we said, whether it was a guilty verdict on all counts or not guilty or a mixed verdict, guess what? It's the correct verdict, and people should respect it, whether they do not like it at all or they think it's the exact appropriate thing that should have happened. It is the collective judgment of these people who didn't ask for this job. They simply responded to their jury summons to show up in court, to listen to the evidence, to literally do their civic duty. So obviously there's lots of concerns that people are upset with the verdict will, burn Kenosha, Wisconsin down. Hopefully that doesn't take place. Hopefully it doesn't go on anywhere. The jury has spoken. There's nothing else anybody can do about that. The case is over. So I want to thank everybody for watching, and obviously we'll try to talk about this more a little bit, but this wasn't a case that was going to say, oh my gosh, if Kyle Rittenhouse lost, self-defense is going to go away in America. No, this is based upon these facts, the law in this particular case, and the jury did what all juries do. And this is why you can't be upset with a jury for what they've done, because they made the decision based upon the facts and the evidence that they had before them. And to get 12 people to agree on anything is difficult in and of itself, let alone when you have evidence that, for all honesty, could have gone a lot of different ways. They came to an agreement. In this case, like I said, Kyle Rittenhouse not guilty on all counts. The judge excused the juror, let them know that none of them the judge let them know that none of the jurors are in. Why can I not talk? They are not under any obligation to speak to anyone. They can refuse to speak, and if somebody persists in trying to speak with them, they should notify the court so the court can take appropriate action. And obviously the judge noted on his final remarks to the jury that he was obviously make sure that everybody is safe. The judge usually then goes back and talks to the jurors, thanks them. Sometimes they get a little certificate saying, thanks for being a great juror. We appreciate you, because literally the system doesn't work if people don't show up. And this is the kind of situation where here in the United States, it truly couldn't work. Most parts of the world don't give a defendant a jury trial to consider whether the action was lawful or unlawful. So it still works kind of, every time it does work, when juries come back guilty or not guilty, the system is working. So, all right. That's all we have for you today. We'll have obviously more to talk about a little bit later. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you on Crime Talk.